From the home of American golf, broadcasting from 24 Golf Studios, right here in legendary Pinehurst, North Carolina, this is more than a golf podcast. It's where the love of the game meets the challenges, the stories, the moments that shape who we are. From tour pros to top instructors to influencers and everyday legends. Get ready for real conversations about golf, life, and everything that lies in between. It's not just about chasing that perfect swing, it's about finding purpose in the pursuit. This is Inside the Swing. Are you ready? Let's tee it up.
Happy Labor Day, everyone, and welcome back to Inside the Swing. I'm Jeremy Lee.
Hey, I'm Matt Vick. We hope your holiday is off to a great start because today we got some fresh news. Ryder Cup drama, although the picks are in, we understand. Rising junior stars, and even a little simulator fun lined up today.
Yeah, let's kick it off with the Ryder Cup because Captain Luke Donald made his picks today, and man, was that pressure sky high.
Man, just seeing Matt Wallace's emotion yesterday, knowing that he's probably not going to make the team with that finish. I mean, what drama.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we got the locks that were already in: Rory, McIntyre, Fleetwood, Rose, Hatton, and a newcomer, Mr. Hogard.
The only new guy. They're pretty much running back 11 of the 12 players from the last Ryder Cup. Rory's the heartbeat of that team. Fleetwood brings such consistency and great play this year. And then McIntyre rounding out a very balanced core. I think there was no surprise that Luke just went chalk pretty much on the standings and then threw Rahm in the 12th slot.
Yeah, and so now he's made his picks: Lowry, Rahm, Hovland, Straka, Oberg, and Fitzpatrick. Man, I thought Wallace may sneak in there, but it looks like he went with Fitzpatrick.
When you look at those names, I don't know how you pass on the experience and also just the with the looks of those names down there at the bottom. I don't know how you pass on that experience in the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, I would agree. And I mean, we talked about Keegan. Keegan made some interesting picks as well, so it's going to be quite the Ryder Cup.
There's been a lot of criticism of the American squads of the last few years, the captains in particular with their picks. A lot of times they would go chalk some inexplicable leave-offs, like sliding Keegan last time. He was the bigger man this time. I feel like he was in a no-win situation where he couldn't afford to pick himself. Too much pressure, too much criticism coming his way. So he skipped over, I believe, picks 10, or in the rankings, he skipped over positions 10, 11, 12, 13, one of them being himself, and picked the 14th, 15th, and 16th guys in the standings. And if you look at those names that were in there, I think it's probably the right move.
Yeah, and I was really surprised about Keegan doing that because he got slighted last Ryder Cup. So I thought he may just stick to those things, but who knows? Well, with Wallace breaking down, really feel, kind of heartfelt for him. I know he wanted to be on that team, but, he had to pick between two Englishmen, and he went with Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, it just shows how much the Ryder Cup means to these guys. It's not just another tournament. You're playing for your country or your continent in terms of Europe, and their passion, playing for their continent is even sometimes a lot greater than the Americans, it seems. Those guys travel together over there a lot and just more tight-knit despite being from different nationalities.
Absolutely. Well, now let's look at the future of the game. Mr. Charlie Woods, yes, Tiger's son, hit a hole-in-one, a nice little ace at the Players Junior. What do you think about that kid?
Man, unreal moment, Charlie, and then right behind him, you got guys like Miles Russell. Continues his rise. He's already the youngest ever AJGA Player of the Year. He made the cut on a Corn Ferry Tour earlier this year to be the
15.
youngest ever at age 15. Kid can't drive, and he's making cuts in professional events. I'm old enough to remember Ty Tryon.
Yeah,
he was like the ultimate phenom getting through PGA Tour Q School at age 17. But now we're going even younger.
Yeah, no, Player of the Year, #1 junior, 23 title at the Players. He just won the 25 Players. This kid is the future. You got Blades Brown, you got him turning pro. Now you got him. The Corn Ferry Tour represented U.S. Junior, Junior Ryder Cup, Junior President's Cup, and then I believe he was like one of the youngest to qualify for the USAM.
Amazing 61 of Northeast Amateur you mentioned earlier.
61 at 15 in a tournament. That's just another level. Well, that's what the beauty of junior golf is today. You've got kids like Charlie and Miles inspiring the next wave of players. And on the international side, how about this? Emily Odwin just became the first player from Barbados to qualify for a major. The 25 U.S. Women's Open. Man, what a historic moment that was.
It's impressive, man. And you got, we were just seeing that West Virginia opened up their collegiate schedule this year, shooting 22 under at their fall opener. The depth of college right now is incredible. PGA Tour University is a good example of that. These kids are coming out of college and they're ready for the tour.
Absolutely. And now across the pond, the Irish Open tees off at the K Club. Rory, Brooks, and some live guys in the mix.
That should be a fun storyline to watch with the live guys showing up. I mean, there's still some heat there between the two sides, and I love to see them tee it up in a tournament outside the majors, which is usually where we only get to see them play.
Yeah, man, expect some fireworks on that. Boy, that's going to be fun and interesting. But now we're going to jump into the simulator. I know we're going to check out some YouTube golf. Man, we are seeing Tiger and we're seeing Chef and we're seeing Rory, Fleetwood. They're all getting together. Bryson's been YouTube crazy here for the last year. But we're going to start diving into some of their videos. We're going to try to help you guys make it a little bit easier to understand and not such elite players doing their own language.
Yeah, they're teaching. They're not teaching professionals. So these guys are sharing their experiences and their feelings about how they hit balls. It's not necessarily able to translate to the average guy out there.
Yeah, for sure. So let's do some drills. Let's get started. Matt's going to hit some shots, and we're going to see if we can't emulate or simulate or copy the best players in the world and see how we do. All right, welcome back to the simulator. Today we're going to really kind of snowball off of what we talked about last week, and is hitting drivers. One of the most important things we can do from a player standpoint. People talk about putting all the time, but I mean, if you can't find the fairway, you're pretty much going to have a high round.
Yeah, you need a go-to shot in golf. Jeremy and I talk about eliminating one side of the golf course for starters with your general golf swing, but off the tee, given that you're going to, typically play 14, hit 14 tee shots around, and you need to. Let's face it, most of us need the length. We need to hit driver.
Yep.
We need to get the ball as far out there as we can, but we also need to figure out a way to get it in play, especially on days that we're having some trouble.
I think it's the 14 most important shots of your round. I mean, I really do. I mean, if you get off that tee and you're in bad position, you're not going to hit greens. If you're not hitting greens, then you're chipping. If you're not a good chipper, then you're not getting closer. Then you bring in the two putt. I mean, you went from driver, wedge, green in regulation to driver, punch out, try to get to the green, chip up. Oh, now we're going to two putt. Well, that easy par just went to a bogey or double, and which is just a round killer.
There was such a stigma against guys going to the range and just bombing drivers all the time. And while we don't suggest that you go to the range and bomb drivers all the time,
why not? That's fun.
You are. I would argue that if you can get the ball in play off the tee, and then you're deadly inside 100 yards with the wedges and the putter, you're going to be a pretty good player.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I practice a lot of drivers, and I practice a lot of low irons, wedge, 9-iron, and below.
Scoring clubs.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, how many times around are you really going to hit your 7, 8 to 3-iron? I mean, very few of those shots are going to be those.
Very few, and the delta between your best 7-iron and your worst 7-iron is not as impactful as the delta between your worst lob wedge and your best lob wedge. So the best lob wedge gets you with a close putt for birdie. The best 7-iron gets you a better look, but likely still par.
Yeah, I agree. So last week we talked about my power and how much power I can generate.
And this week we won't be talking about my power.
Nah, you still have power. But today he's going to talk to you about finding fairways. That's what we're going to focus on today's episode on. And let's just see how we can show somebody when they're really struggling. This weekend I hit the ball so well. And then, but I didn't score well because I hit through a lot of fairways. I was just hitting driver, which caused a lot of problems. I wasn't finding fairways. And then I came in here and I just played like crap. And I noticed that my hamstrings were super, super tight. And I'm starting to learn what is causing these bad rounds. And it's just having flexibility in your hamstrings is huge from a posture standpoint. Matt does a really good job of just staying in posture all the way through the shot. So if you're tight in your hamstrings, if you're sitting at a desk all day or you're in a car because you're driving around selling, make sure that you do a lot of hamstring stretches. I love just the leg throws, just right before your round, just really nice and loosen up. And then that's going to really help you stay into posture, which is why he's so good at what he does. And he's going to start to show us how to get those fairways every time.
So we talked a little bit about Tiger and Rory doing some of their instructional videos, or maybe you wouldn't call them instructional videos. They're more this is how I play the game kind of videos. But Rory talked about how as his career has gone on, he's looked to tighten his ball flight up with his driver. So he was getting into these drivers, and he would get to the top, and he would really try to get flat and route the club down and then up. And he was swinging out as much as 10 degrees sometimes and hitting these big high draws. Well, hey, that's great, but he was introducing the two-way miss because of that. There was so much that could go wrong. So in general, he's tried to get his golf swing more so that he feels like he's covering the ball more like an iron. And it would be less on the up. He's hitting it less on the upswing. Angle of attack goes down, and also makes things a little bit easier to get the club back on plane and through. Now, take that one step further. He talks about hitting what I would call a fairway finder when things get tight and he just really needs to get something in play. This is a low shot for him. It tends to move a little bit left to right because of the way modern drivers are set up. That's what it would likely do for you as well. Even if you normally hit a right to left ball flight, it should be a little cut, but it's going to come out lower and a lot more controlled and more consistent. So whereas my normal driver, and I'm going to hit one here, my normal driver, I'm here and I am really focusing on the inside corner of this golf ball. I'm going to try to turn behind, and I'm really trying to really push up and through and get that club moving up. And there's the little draw. Oh, speaking of tight hamstrings, Jeremy, a little tight this morning.
Yeah, no, I mean, but that's so interesting how we look at the ball differently, because I want to feel the outside of the ball. Because if I get too much like old Rory, where he comes in like this, then it's just, he got really good with his hands. And just, I mean, he's a world-class player, which allows him to do that. So what I want to do is I want to feel like I get a little bit further away from me and stay more on that plane. So I want to think outside ball, but you just said, hey, no, I want to feel the inside of the ball. So give me kind of what you're thinking on that level of, are you still feeling like your hands are on plane through the shot, or are you thinking you're coming a little bit more from the inside?
Well, I certainly have a tendency to swing left.
Okay.
So with the driver, for me, I swing left. I tend to swing left, and I tend to swing down. So I'm a definitely negative attack angle player for the most part. With my driver, I have to focus on swinging up in order to get the attack angle, and it is a almost completely different swing than the rest of my golf swings.
Yeah.
The driver is almost completely different swing than the rest of my.
Yeah. And then for you, are you wanting to feel some hands into it, or are you wanting to really just hold that off and swing through it?
No, never a flip, never a release. The release happens naturally, and in subsequent, sessions, we'll talk maybe even next time, do the grip, talk about the grip. But if you're holding the club properly, the club will release the way it should. Okay. And you shouldn't have to, manually force that. So just general centrifugal force, the club will pass the hands and
No, I love that.
turn.
So let's talk about setup on how we find that fairway finder, because I
All right,
know
so-
many of us struggle with that. That's where we start to load up the round on strokes because we're not in the fairways, we're in the trees. So how do we find that fairway 80% of the time?
So Rory and Tiger are talking about covering the ball, and what
Yep.
they mean by covering the ball is more like an iron shot, to where at impact, the exaggeration of that would be this is very covered, right,
Yep.
Jeremy?
Mhm.
So what they're covering with their right hip, they're covering with their hands, and it's a more down,
Almost like a stinger.
like a stinger, right?
Yeah.
Like a stinger. So we're going to tee the ball down first and foremost. Teeing the ball down just a little bit takes the attack angle down just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just on its own. You're not going to be able to swing up as much.
And then when you're saying tee the ball down, give me where it's going to be on the club head.
So normally we've got the ball. I tee the ball up to where it's bellied by the crown of the driver.
Yep.
So we get right in there. And the idea is, sweet spot in these modern drivers is usually between the top groove or line. On this Titleist driver here, it's kind of between this top line. It's high in the face. So we're trying to make sure we catch the ball a little bit on the uptick and higher in the face. It's higher than you would think. It's usually not the center of the face, right? So now this ball, we're getting this teed up more in here.
Okay. So basically a 1/4 inch down.
Maybe a 1/4 inch down,
Yep.
we'll say. You can play around with it. You may even find that you like it teed down a little bit more. The more you get it teed down, the more it's going to encourage a downward attack angle, and you can just play around to see.
Okay.
So we get this thing teed down just a little bit, and already it looks different to me. It doesn't look like I can
That you can hit up on it.
as much. So I'm going to step in here.
So ball position is your
Ball
feet.
position, I let it creep a little bit back towards the center. Not quite as much out on the toe as I would normally have it on my left toe, but maybe towards my left heel. One other adjustment that I'm going to make is I'm going to stand a lot taller than I normally would. I'm still keeping good posture and bend at the waist, but this taller stance at address is going to also promote kind of what we're looking for, more
Yep.
this cover. So I'm getting tall, teed down, and then I want to just really try to cover the golf ball. We'll see what I can do here.
Okay. Woo. Definitely covered on that one.
Let's try one more.
Low burner.
Let's try one more. It's not,
Low burner
it's
there.
not hooking like
That
crazy.
is a big stinger.
All right, so ball position a little bit back. I'm really going to stand tall,
Yep.
and then I'm working to cover this golf ball.
Yeah.
And that is an absolute bullet.
Yeah. I mean, your launch angle is super low, 6 degrees. I mean, that thing's going to run for days. Now, we're definitely not going to see the distance out of this one like we would on trying to hit, through the ball, catching the ball as the club heads start to rise. Because I really do hate that word hit up on the ball, because I really don't think that that's technically what's happening. Is we're not leaning back to hit up on the ball. What we're doing is we're swinging through and catching the ball as the club starts to rise. And that's because I think too many players out there will tend to do this. And that's
Rory was
death.
talking about that exactly.
Yeah, but you got to get super flat.
He was getting super flat, and he was absolutely hitting up on it, and it was causing a lot of inconsistencies.
Yeah, but look what kind of feel from this angle. If I take it back and I make my turn, and then I go up, look what happens to my posture. My posture gets really tall. We're no longer so versus me staying in posture, staying covered through the ball, and just popping it through. Now, what's great about that is it's going to help us stay a little bit quieter with our hands too, right? Because when we drop back, we have to flip to basically catch up. I think that's just our brain overtaking our hands, right?
Yeah.
So let's go.
So there's just a little bit of flip in this one here.
Yep.
But you can see, that's got 50 yards of roll on it. The ball isn't in the air long enough to get too far offline. It's not high enough in the air for the wind to affect it at all. And even a slight mishit because of the low launch and the low carry, it's not going to get too far offline. That wasn't great, but it's in play and still got out there 280 for me.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it puts you in play. These are great for those 350, 400-yard hole. You hit it 250, that's a 150 shot in.
My options are, if I'm having to play really safe, I've got a 4 or a 3 iron I can put in play. But my 3-wood and 5-wood that I carry aren't necessarily set up. They're set up for height more so. And so you would say, well, just back down and hit a 3-wood. Well, yeah, that's a good strategy. But my 3-wood, it goes higher than I would like in a situation where I'm really just trying to get one just in play.
Yeah.
And get it moving down there.
All right, well, let's change directions. We got the stinger. Let's do a little stinger cut.
All right.
So you walk us through what you would do if we kind of have a little left to right playing hole and we want to play it a little bit safe and play like a little stinger cut.
So for me to hit a stinger cut, it's a lot the same as a regular stinger, obviously. Ball is off the left heel. I'm going to stand a little taller. I'm going to try to just ever so slightly get my shoulders more level than normal. This promotes a little bit more of an out to in path, and then I'm able to kind of hold the face a little bit better.
Okay.
So whereas instead of here, I'm a little more level. Hopefully the shoulders are still square. They're just more level.
Now, is your weight shift on your left side, staying more on your left, or are you going to still shift it back to your right leg?
We have not done really anything with the weight.
Okay.
We're still as neutral as I can be.
Okay.
Just to make a good motion. So we're making all of our changes with the shoulders here to hit that cut.
And a little baby cut, a little pull. It was more straight, but it's still, I mean, we would take that all day, every day. And it's just running. It's just a low bull. It's going to eliminate a lot of trouble out there if we're just popping it down the fairway.
So if I'm just comparing to my, like we were talking about my 3-wood carry off the tee, I can probably carry it 255. So it's carrying a little bit shorter than my 3-wood.
Yeah.
This ball can't get in trouble, Jeremy.
Yeah.
It can't get in trouble. It can't go offline.
Yeah. Now the one thing we do have to be careful about is trying to bring it too far from the inside and trying to cover, because that will produce that little low duck. So I think making sure that we're staying away from our body, feeling like we're coming down the line versus dropping that shoulder. So like you said, a little bit more level through the shot, covering, and just hitting that nice little bullet down there. And this is where you have to find the fairway. So we're going to hit, a nice high driver. And let's just talk about what you're thinking versus I was thinking power, hit it hard, turn hard through my shoulders, really hold the angle of the driver through and catch that compression, because I believe that we generate power with our legs. It transfers up through our body and then it comes out. But so many people lose it right here. They get to right here all the way good, and then they do this, which is just a power killer, versus us continuing to move our body and just pulling that club through. Give me your sense of thought on consistency and power matching. Because sometimes power, I mean, you look at the long drivers in the world, they're hitting huge misses because all they care about is hitting 3 or 4 down the grid.
That's right.
For a good player, you got to kind of balance that.
It is a balance. And again, I think that's what Rory was alluding to when he was talking about when he talks about trying to cover the ball a little bit more. I've never had an issue covering the ball. So me personally, I cover it too much. I think early in my professional career, I was longer than I am now, obviously at an older age, but I was the longest before I realized that I had to figure out how to hit the ball on the planet to make any money at this game.
Sure.
I mean, I could really move it, but my misses were so out of control. And of course, this was before when the ball curved more than it does now, and I think we teach differently now. But going back to your point, I've always struggled with really maximizing my distance and hitting up enough on it. So I do have to feel like I sort of hit up on it. In order to do that, what I do, I make sure I've got the ball. I think the number one thing that I do with a lot of students is I move the ball up in their stance.
Oh yeah, I would agree.
It's more comfortable to play it back. It feels more powerful. That's just because of the way we're built as athletes. Pitchers, everything's with your back to the target.
Yep.
You throw, you punch, everything's with your back to the target. So
Yep.
you wind up. So it feels more comfortable to have it back. Move the ball up, making sure it's up here off this left instep, and the club is always going to be an extension of your arm. So the club butt end of this driver is never going to point outside my shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
It's always going to be running right down the inside of my forearm. That makes it an extension of this left arm, and right hand goes on nicely. Ball positions up, making sure these shoulders are square. And then we're going to load up away from the ball. We don't want to feel like we then loop and swing up.
Yep.
We want to feel like we swing up by staying in our posture. And by in our posture, I mean feel like our belt buckle is towards our spine and it stays there. We don't get this extension through the ball.
The humper.
We stay, no humping the goat. We stay down and through and continue to rotate.
Okay.
So let's see if we can do that here. So again, ball's off the instep, belt buckle pushed into the spine. Golly.
A little flippy.
Yeah.
A little flippy. So just a shot like that, I mean, that's a hands deal, right?
For sure.
So you went,
Body.
Your club path was 3 degrees left. So that's that swing left thing that you talk about.
Body completely stops.
Yep.
Turning. It's stuck here. Spin out. Club goes left.
Yep.
Hands turn.
Yeah, much better. So as you can see, even on that swing right there, so the last swing that he just did was -3, -3. He had a -3 path and a -3 face, which just basically took it straight left and just a turn down. And that was probably a lot from feeling that cover that we just worked on. You know, you're feeling that cover and then trying to change your mind frame. You're going to have different shots, you know, and so it's really important, like when you're working on something and then you switch back, to understand how to make that move back and not really think about that same move. Because if you're set up differently and you make that same move, that's exactly what just happened. Now he always swings left. So that's the big difference between Matt and I, is he always swings left. His club path is always in that -2 range, where mine's probably in that, 0 to +2 range. I find that when I'm swinging bad, my path tends to get to 3+. And then I start to really flip and I just kind of lose control. And I really think that I have that problem being a taller player, as I tend to come in, I tend to slide instead of making the turn like Matt does so beautifully, and just make that impact. Now, like I talked about last week, sometimes I can get my hands way outside there. So I do have that angle when I'm coming through.
And conversely, I swing left. So my tendency is to get too far left. Too down, too steep, we would call it, and the club's working down and across, and I'm just holding off the face and hitting these little pull cuts, which I prefer that to be my miss. That's just what I've tried to, my whole career. I've tried to eliminate left side of the golf course.
Yeah,
I don't want to ever see that ball going left. So if I'm hitting misses, I'm hoping I'm hitting just little bleeders into the right rough.
Yeah,
to get on the ground pretty quick, and we're moving on.
And you see that with a lot of the better players. They're going to always swing left. Every good player that I know has swung left. So getting into that drop back, that push out is probably not great. But if you can learn to turn, baby, and make that turn and try to figure out where that spot needs to be, that's ultimately where you're going to get the best consistency. It's not always going to give you the best power. I think we'll agree on that, is that, I mean, I could load up and I could throw that club at that ball, and I mean, we could hit it a mile, but hitting it a mile, 100 yards offline is not going to score. So I think that's what's really important about this episode is, one, we all want power, but power comes from creating more resistance and really learning how to turn through the ball. I do feel like you're going to get a little bit more power with a draw swing than a cut swing because the ball is not going to spin. You're going to get a little bit more top spin going down the fairway, get a little bit better roll. But at the end of the day, you got to find that balance. You got to find the balance between power and consistency.
Like we said, Jeremy, 14 times around, you're off the tee trying to find a fairway with something. So I think it's important that you figure out how to do that on a more consistent basis.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, if there's anything that you guys want us to talk about on the next episode, please let us know. Next week, we are going to discuss really in depth the Ryder Cup, and we have Bethpage Black here on the screen. So we thought maybe we'll play Bethpage Black, talk about the Ryder Cup picks, really dial into what they're going to be seeing on the golf course from the tips. And then that way you're going to be able to see both of our games, and you're going to see Matt probably wax me, but it'll be a lot of fun to do that. But at the end of the day, we want you guys to be the best players that you guys can be. So if you ever want to come and do a lesson with us, make sure that you give us a call, get on our website, you can book with us. We have a new lesson site actually launching here in the next week, which will be making it really easy to work with us from that standpoint. But Matt, always a pleasure. Thanks for the amazing shots. We look forward to...
Amazingly average.
Yeah, that's all right. You're a great player, and that's what I hope to obtain one day. And then obviously we hope to get you guys there as well. So if there's anything you want us to talk about, please let us know. Please subscribe to our channel. And but that is another episode in the books. And I'm Jeremy Lee.
Matt Vick. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
We'll see you on the tee.
Have a great week.
Take care.